right. Well, super excited to introduce the next talk here, especially since we have a slightly different flavor on it. Mike's got something special lined up for us. He's going to be talking to us about improv and UX, which I would have never thought to put, together. So I'm super excited to hear what he has to say about that. A little bit about Mike. He's part of a creative, supportive, and collaborative design team that builds engaging experiences for digital products. And he will not hesitate to tell you just how much he loves it, which is fantastic, Mike. He works for the Experience Design Group at EY. It's a company that fosters a culture that really values design thinking and tries to make it a priority in how they run and solve their problems. So naturally, they've got groups that disciplines that specialize in strategy, the creative, the technology side, and they all, collaborate together with their leadership and stakeholders to align with those business goals and strategies. Probably why Mike loves it so much. That's really, it's a lot of what we just talked about, the value of that design strategy, integrating with that product strategy. Mike, you have to explain to me now, how does improv tie to UX in the slightest? Tell me how that goes.
Thank you, Katie, for that wonderful introduction. Hopefully everyone can hear me and you can see the opening slide for my talk today, Improv and UX, creating a culture with trust, empathy, and collaboration. Sadly, I do not have any cool animations like Conrad, specifically the hamburger one, which gave me flashbacks to the 80s and the arcade game Burger Time. You're stacking burgers together. And thankfully, I am actually going to lunch today at a burger place. So while Conrad's animation gave me a little something to look forward to. Again, improv and UX. I'd like to start off. For those of you who are on LinkedIn, you may be seeing posts with two images recently that are asking, which user experience is better. So I thought I'd have a little fun with that by asking, if you're trying to create a culture with more trust, empathy, and collaboration, which version of this app will help you accomplish that goal? The version that uses yes and, or the version that uses no but? And I hope you're all choosing the yes and version. Yes and is a concept that is the first and most important thing in improvisation. And in my opinion, everything you learn after that is just giving you the tools to support it. So, what does yes and teach, and instill? Improv is about building scenes and shows from nothing. So there is no time for disagreement. You have to agree to ideas being offered in that moment, in order, to move the scene and the show forward. Yes and builds the mindset that together we will build something more interesting and creative than anyone in the group would have on their own. Improvisers expect their teammates to support and grow their ideas, and they in return will do the same for them. Thankfully for us in UX, when we're creating solutions, we have the ability to take ideas we've come up with and test them with users or stakeholders or subject matter experts to find out, what does and doesn't work in order to find the best possible solution to the problem we're trying to solve. So, how does yes and work? What are the skills you need to create a yes and mindset? Well, first is active listening. Improvs and its exercises teach active listening. In order to build a scene together, you have to actively listen to your scene partner. Active listening allows you to not only hear what they're saying, but how they're saying it. What is their tone of voice? Are they happy? Are they sad? Are they confused? What is the information that you can take out of their lines of dialogue to use and build on? For me in UX, I use this to make sure I'm present when I'm in my meetings or my user interviews or my usability testing sessions. I do my best to listen to what is being said, understand it, and then incorporate that new information into what I already know and apply it to the solutions I'm coming up with. I maybe like you to take a second to think about times when maybe you weren't actively listening. Why are you checked out? Do you not value what the person is saying? In our UX work, it's important for us to always give our best effort to actively listen to others. At the very least, it shows respect to the other person and builds trust And while you may not need that person in that particular moment, you might need them later on. And how much do you think they're going to be willing to help you, if you feel like you don't listen to them all the time, if you're constantly ignoring them or shooting down their ideas? So you're actively listening, but what's the next skill you need? Non-judgment. For improv, non-judgment helps you to accept the ideas of your fellow improvisers. And in addition to the acceptance of other people's ideas, non-judgment helps you not judge your own ideas. I've had many times where I've been sitting, doing some improv and had an idea for something, and then immediately thought, well, that's a dumb idea. I shouldn't be doing that. That's not going to work. It helps you get over that. So you just kind of go and you do it and you add to the scene, and together you work on things. So here's, an example. A location is given or an established in your scene, and you personally don't like it. If you spend all your time judging and not liking the location of the scene, you're missing out on what your scene partner is saying and doing. You run the risk of only pushing your own ideas because you think it's better, and they always lead to a scene that goes, nowhere. No audience wants to watch two people on stage just arguing about whether you're here or there, and constantly bickering back and forth, as opposed to together building on the idea that was initially offered. Improv has a saying that's attributed to Del Close, who was one of he's considered the guru. He trained people from Bill Murray and Jim Belushi to Mike Myers to Chris Farley to Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Steve Carell, Stephen Colbert, lots of people. But the saying is, fall and figure it out on the way down. And I think that really applies to the non-judgment aspect, because if you commit to what's going on and be in the moment, there's no time to judge things. There's only time to build on what is happening right now between you and your scene partner. And for UX, this means being willing to listen to other people's thoughts and ideas. For example, when you're interviewing users, you refrain from judging what they're saying to you about their experiences. That non-judgment is the key, in my opinion, to gaining the other person's trust. And as you gain their trust, they're more likely to share more and more thoughts about what's going on, what their problems are that they're encountering, little pieces of information that they might not have been willing to share or have felt comfortable enough to share without you just listening and being non-judgmental. You're just basically taking in and absorbing information. I'd like you to think also now about some times that you've judged people's others' thoughts and ideas. If you were judging them negatively, is it because you didn't think they were maybe qualified to give you insight? And so I'm going to get a little bit more on that, that aspect of it later. So now you are refraining from judgment. What's the next skill you need? And that's acceptance. And that is the yes part of yes and. A lot of improvisers, when they first start out, think acceptance means their character has to agree with everything being presented. But what acceptance really means is that you've accepted the facts and reality of the scene that you're in. If the first line of dialogue is, I can't wait to get to the top of the mountain and ski down. You accept that you're about to be skiing down a mountain soon. Your character can hate skiing, but the fact has been established that skiing is going to be happening either like right now or in the future. The characters could be going up the ski lift to go to the top of the mountain. They could be checking into the ski resort. They could be, in their apartment booking the vacation online. None of those things have been established and are perfectly fine to reply with to help expand the world that you're creating on stage. So in this example, I can't wait to get to the top of this mountain to ski down could be followed up with easy there, Lindsay Vaughn. We're not skiing down until we get the bags out of the car and get checked into the hotel. By accepting an improv, you build trust with your teammates because you're not negating their ideas, and you get used to working with ideas that you may not be, totally like or be comfortable with. An example of negation to the previous line of I can't wait to get to the top of the mountain and ski down might be something like, what? We're not on a mountain, we're on a beach, and you just ordered us a bottle of rum. That's an example of someone pushing their own idea because they didn't like the first and original idea. So you want to lose your teammates' trust, negate their opening lines. And for UX, this means that you may have to accept some constraints for the project you're working on. Like, there's a design system, and the design system doesn't leave any room for creating custom components. You just got to work with what you've got. Short timelines, little or no budget, which is a constant one, technical limitations, or maybe the tools you're working with. This project uses Sketch and you're used to using Figma, or vice versa. And finally, the last item on the list is exploration. And exploration in improv means you're looking for interesting ideas and patterns to explore and heighten. There are no mistakes in improv is, one of the things that gets said a lot. And it's true. If something weird happens and a character in a scene going to walk on water, then in that show's world, that character can walk on water, and that should be explored. And how do you explore that idea more? You could explore, what is it about the character that allows them to walk on water? Can that person even take a bath because they can't sink into the bathtub? Does the water from the shower just go around their body like how the smoke streams go around a car when it's being tested in a wind tunnel? For UX, this means listening to all points of view, looking for patterns, and then using them to come up with ideas, and then having the group explore those ideas to their natural conclusions. Some of the ideas may work, some of them may not. The most promising designs can be tested with users, and so you can get feedback and then work to refine them, merge them into the best solution, but continue moving forward and working together. All of the skills on this list contribute to my mindset when I do my UX work. I believe you arrive at a less explorative process when you think you've explored all the options and you don't take the opportunity to explore as many ideas as you can. And you get more ideas when you are willing to work with other people and their points of view. And to reinforce the mindset from another source, allow me to present to you Jason Sudeikis, aka Ted Lasso. Some of you may know that he recently won the Emmy for Best Actor for playing Ted Lasso. It's a great show, and Jason has his roots in improv. And in his acceptance speech, he made it a point to thank the improv theaters in Chicago where he started, and Mick Napier, who is a director in Chicago, who also directed Tina Fey and a lot of other people. And I'm going to have a little bit more about Mick a little bit later at the end. But Jason's time at those places learning improv instilled a yes and mindset in him, and I felt like he confirmed that when he also said in his speech, I want to thank my incredible cast. Look, I'm only as good as you guys make me look, so really it means the world to me to be up here and just be a mirror of what you guys give to me, and then we reflect back and forth on each other. That is very much how I like to approach my UX work. I'm only part of the process, and I look to others to take my ideas and grow them. And in turn, I take what they give back to me and try to make those ideas better. I really believe everyone involved contributes or can contribute to the solution, which leads me to this nugget. There's the phrase "everyone is a designer," which can ruffle feathers, and we have the quote from Ratatouille here of "not everyone can be a great artist, but a great artist can come from anywhere." I have the question mark there because yes, we are the experts, we are trained, and we have more expertise than people outside of the UX world. But I try to ask myself, have I considered every possibility before I've interacted with this person? The answer should be no, because it's hard to explore everything. And frankly, my mindset is that everyone I interact with is capable of offering an idea that can make my current design that I'm working on, better. So I'd like to stress how important I think it is to listen to everyone. And I've modified the quote to "not everyone is a designer," big D designer, but great design ideas can come from anywhere. So for me, modifying the quote speaks to improv instilling the idea that every idea can be explored and improved. And in the end, if the original idea isn't the solution, it might inspire the idea that becomes the solution. But that can only happen if you're willing to accept and explore. So, while we're the experts, in my opinion, we still need to listen to everyone, because you never know when a good idea will present itself. And it definitely won't if you shoot down everyone else's ideas and only push your ideas, because we're the designer and we're the expert. And I say that because, like this chart shows, I feel like UX is at the center of things. We're the hub. We have to work with, create with, and solve problems with, all these groups of the tech, the users, and the business. We're right there in the middle, in the thick of things. And, these are groups that are made up of different people with different, views and different experiences. And for me, improv skills have contributed a lot to my ability to listen and absorb what those groups are trying to communicate with me. And, those skills that have helped me grow are what I've already mentioned at the beginning, active listening, non-judgment, and acceptance. And they're the foundation for the house. Without them, the house falls down. Once you do a lot of improvising, those skills become part of your mindset. And that's why I kind of have them grouped under a mindset header, because it's how you behave. It's how you think. When you go into the situation, I'm immediately thinking, okay, what can I get from everybody else to help advance this solution that's being, worked on. The skills of connection, empathy, and trust fall into a group I call relationship. So when you're actively listening, you're practicing non-judgment, and you're accepting ideas from others, you naturally connect with them, better. You learn to have more empathy for them, and that automatically builds trust. So these are, skills that, you work on in improv classes and training, and they are like the second level that you can start to get to once you get the mindset going and part of you, and they start growing naturally between you and a lot of the other people in your class and people on your teams, and all of that. So, and finally, exploration is where improv, in my opinion, really puts like the pedal down to the metal. By learning to explore, with the support of your teammates, and knowing, there is no failure, there is no judgment, everyone's going to work with you, you're far more willing to collaborate. You're more agile to changing circumstances. I can't even count how many times I've gone out to do a scene with an idea of what I thought I was going to do, and then the other person gets their first line out before me. And guess what? My idea is now gone, because that is the idea that's going on. And then I need to, immediately take that change in circumstances. You'll have more willingness to take risks and to experiment, because again, you have your support system there with everyone else, and all of that fosters more creativities because you're playing and you're having fun. When you're in that playful, atmosphere, people are more willing to bounce things off each other. There's just an energy to it, as opposed to everybody sitting around a table having their ideas shut down because one person is dominating the conversation and just pushing their agenda on everything. So I mentioned, empathy a little bit earlier, and I want to take a quick little detour on empathy. The word gets used a lot, and it seems like there might be a little bit of fatigue setting in, and maybe almost some, I don't know if backlash might be a strong word, showing up around it. And I think that may be because, when we're trying to pitch empathy by saying, we have to really put ourselves in other people's shoes, which, may not always be possible. What I think we mean when we say empathy is that we need to feel what the other person is feeling, and however you get there is perfectly fine. If the user is feeling frustrated, can you reference a time in your life when you were feeling frustrated? Yes, great. Then now you have a better idea of what the person is feeling, and you can connect better with them and use that as a motivation to create solutions that solve the user's problems. At EY, we had a meeting a few weeks ago where empathy came up, and we ended up kind of breaking it down into this, following a little list of, sympathy, which is, you understand that a person is feeling a certain way and why they might feel that way. So, that person slipped on the ice and fell down on the sidewalk and broke their leg. Ouch. Empathy. So you're doing your best to feel what the other person is feeling, but again, not trying to say you are trying to experience exactly what they have, because that's not always possible. So that could be, I slipped on the ice skating once and broke my arm, and I remember how painful it was. And then finally, compassion. And compassion is what compels you to act and work to find a solution to the other person's problem. So in that case, to continue along with the example, I don't want anyone else to go through the pain of breaking a bone from slipping on ice. So I'm going to work with the streets department to make sure salt gets put down on the sidewalks in the winter to keep them from getting icy and having people slip. So, I think without compassion, you're not going to really do something to fix the problem. We're going to be a lot less motivated to do it, or you're going to be doing the bare minimum. So, let's all be compassionate UXers. So, okay, now an actual example. I've talked about the skills and everything. An actual example of me using my improv skills. I'm putting them into action. I'm currently working on a redesign of a search results page for one of the enterprise applications that I am the UX resource for. And one of the new pieces of functionality is to be able to preview a search result so that the user can see if it's the document that they're looking for. And this feature is being added because during the user interviews I conducted, a majority of the users let me know that they hated having to open a search result, go into the document, take all the time to read through it. And when it wasn't the right document, they had to go back to the search results, find their place again, and look at the search results to see what document might be the one, have to go into it. And there was a lot of back and forth between the search results and viewing the documents. And that was making it take longer to find the content being looked for. And it was really frustrating. The users, they were frustrated. They did not like how much time it was taking. So, that is where, the thought of adding a preview function, came in. And my initial design, was to preview the document kind of in a light box, large modal, because I was thinking, the user needs to read through it. They need, a lot of room and space for the document, to absorb it and understand if it's what they needed. And I thought my initial design was pretty good option. But when I showed it to the stakeholders, they liked it, but they also just suggested another idea. And that was to have the preview slide in from the right-hand side. So I thought my idea was, better for readability. I'd maintain, being open to their idea. Hey, had I explored all options? No, I was exploring this one. What else is there out there? So I was open to their idea, and I came up with 2 designs, based on it. And I'm going to show those real quickly here. And so as you can see, here's the light box, the modal for the document. If you were to click on a search result, this opens up. It looks fantastic, doesn't it? Just, right there, ready to be read, words highlighted, gorgeous. And then the next design was the slide out of the preview, and it was covering the search results. And then the third design was a slide out again, but in this case, it was going to squeeze the contents of the search results so that you could still see everything on the page. So we created these 3 designs and the images, and we sent out a survey to the user base. And we told them that, hey, we're going to be adding a preview function to the search results, and we have some design ideas that we're exploring, and we'd like you to take a look at them. And in the context of you've run a search, you have some results, and you would like to see which one is going to help you accomplish your task easiest. So they took the survey, we heard back, and the winner was design 3, the slide out and squeeze design, and like by a lot. It was very much so the hands down winner, twice as many votes as the other 2 designs combined. And so I'm really glad that I listened to the design ideas coming from the stakeholders and explored them, because if we hadn't, we wouldn't have got these other 2 possibilities, and we wouldn't have been able to present them to users and get feedback and move forward to what will hopefully be, the best solution for them. Okay, so we're moving along quite nicely here, and we're going to try a few brief exercises very quickly. And let's see, we started at 8:15, 30 minutes, 45. Hopefully we can squeeze one or one of their 2 of these in. I'm going to do empty your pockets first. And that's going to be hopefully real quick. And this is a good exercise that focuses on listening, connection, and empathy. And the nice part about it is it's also kind of a good little get to know you, a little icebreaker on your teams. If you're new together, or if you already know each other, you may learn something about each other. And the gist of the exercise is that you will pair people off, and they have 1 minute to tell the story of an item that is special to them. It could be on their person, in their wallet, in their backpack, knick-knack on their desk if it's virtual. And the job of the person talking is to tell the other people why that object is special to them. The job of the person On the other side of the conversation is to listen and listen actively and just absorb what is being said and resist any urges to interrupt with their own comments or questions, to refrain from letting their mind wander and think about other things they have going on, like work tasks, meetings, etc. Hopefully that all makes sense. So I am going to jump in right now. You guys can all imagine that you are one person, and I am going to tell you the story of my wedding ring. And hopefully I can get this done here in a minute. We'll see. This is not originally the wedding ring I saw myself getting when I was looking for rings when my wife and I were engaged. And we went to downtown Chicago in the Loop and the jewelry row, and we started looking at rings, and I was trying on all sorts of rings that I thought in my head would look good. And I kept trying them on and didn't like any of them and kept going and going. We were going from store to store. And finally, after about 2 hours, we got to a store, and this ring was in one of the cases. And my wife looked at it and said, well, what about that one? I said, I don't know. The lines are kind of ugly. That doesn't look like something I'd want. Moved down a few more cases, tried on more rings, didn't like the rings, came back, and she said, well, why don't you just try it on? So I said, okay, I'll try it on. And the second I put it on my finger, I was like, oh my God, this is the ring. This is perfect. I couldn't believe how good it looked on my ring versus me just looking at it in the case. So I like to look down at it and on my hand, because it's a constant reminder of, being willing and open to try things on, or try things because you may not think you like them, but they may actually in the end be something that you enjoy. So it's a common thing, walk in other people's shoes, try things, be willing, but it's a nice reminder that I have on my hand all the time. And so that is empty your pockets. If you were the other side of this, you would then now tell your story to me. And now this is going to get to the what we call the fun part of the talk. I have 2 more exercises that hopefully we can squeeze in here, but we're going to need some volunteers from you, the audience. 3 people to be precise. And I believe you have a button that says ask for video and audio share. And the moderators are going to grab the first 3 people that jump in to perform the next exercise, which is called last word response, which is another, again, exercise that's focusing on being in the moment and listening and creating, but you can't create unless you actually listen to what's being said. So if we could get 3 brave folks to join me, again, I think you just need to click on the ask for video and audio share. The moderators will approve you, and you should appear next to me once that is done. So I will just sit here and kind of hang. And hopefully I'll see people join me.
Hi.
We have one. We have Barna. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. How are you?
Good.
Thanks. So, yeah, I just want to encourage other people as well to join, because I'm sure it will be fun.
If not, it might just be me and you, Barna.
Yeah, that's what
tearing up the virtual stage. And if not, do we have a few more people? Maybe. We have Zoltan. Hi, Zoltan. Okay. And we have Peter. Hello, Peter. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Good. Okay, so this is the gist of last word response. We're gonna go in this order. So it's me, Barna, Zoltan, Peter, and then back to me. As you can see in the example above, I am going to give a sentence, and it will be Barna's job to use the last word of my sentence to be the first word in his sentence. So as you can see from the example, if I were to have said last winter there were a record number of people that traveled to Switzerland, Barna then now has to start his sentence with Switzerland. So Switzerland is known for its mountains and clocks. Clocks are something that I don't pay attention to now that I have my smartphone. Smartphones are one of the many ways people use to stay connected. So hopefully that gives a pretty clear example of what it is. And we'll just go through twice in order of me, Barna, Zoltan, Peter. So if you guys are ready, I will give a sentence, and Barna, you can go ahead and follow it up. So again, you can't actually think ahead. You have to be listening and ready to respond to what the last word is. There is no pre-planning. You have to stay in the moment with me. So here's the first sentence. I like to drink cream with a lot of coffee and sugar.
Sugar is a nickname for my girlfriend.
Zoltan, you're on mute, by the way.
Okay.
And the last word was girlfriend, in case.
Okay. How do you start a sentence with this?
Sorry.
You can tweak it. You can tweak it if you need to.
Okay. So girlfriend is someone I have met last summer.
Summer is the greatest part of the year for me.
Me, I like to play golf in the summer when I can get outside.
Outside is the place where I feel that I can get the energy I need.
Okay. So need is something that may be defined as something that a person really wants.
Once more coffee.
Awesome. All right. Give yourselves a hand, guys. All right. We always applaud ourselves after our exercises because, hey, getting up here and doing this is not always easy. It's definitely putting yourself in the spot. So let's go move on real quickly to the last exercise. And this is yes and this is the exercise that everybody does in like their very first improv class. And we, it's another listening and a focus. And it shows that you're listening because you will respond yes, repeat what the other person said, and then and that's the exploration part where you add a new piece of information to what was just said. And we'll go in the same order. And if you look at the example here, if I were to have started it out and said, we are going on vacation, Barna would say, yes, we are going on vacation. And I'm really looking forward to a week in Paris. Zoltan would be, yes, you are looking forward to a week in Paris. And you can see how you just modified that because it wouldn't make sense if you said, yes, I am looking forward to a week in Paris, because Barna just said that. And I think we should have croissants in a cafe. And then Peter would follow with, yes, we should have croissants in a cafe. And after that, I will propose to you at the top of the Eiffel Tower, which comes back to me. Yes, you will propose to me at the top of the Eiffel Tower. And I'm going to have to say no because I can't stand your mother. So that is an example of how it works. And that it's very contrived, but again, it's forcing you to have to listen to what is said and then add a new piece of information. And as you can see, it goes from the vague idea of going to a vacation all the way down to a proposal that's getting rejected. So we'll jump through this and we'll just go through one time because we're getting close on time here. It's actually already 8:49 my time. And just to go through it. So I will throw out the first line and you guys can just, yes and it. All right. So opening line. I just went down and picked up my new glasses.
Yes, you just went down and picked up your new glasses, and it was broken because the employee who gave it to you is doing his job very poorly.
And you can shrink that down, Zoltan.
Yes, it was broken because the employee who has gave it to you performed their job really poorly. And the reason for that is that they have not drank enough coffee that morning.
And the reason for that, he did not drink enough coffee at the morning, and she did not even have breakfast.
There you go. Perfect. That's awesome. Give yourselves a hand, guys. All right. That was fantastic. And so you can see how, like, just even in 4 people, how it can change from a basic idea by adding more details and listening. Now, if a lot of people will get a little bit confused and they'll say yes, but is like definitely a negative word and puts a stop to what was just said, really, and is like, yeah, that was cool, but you know what? Here's what I'm actually going to tell you because this is what we should be doing in this scene. And so that's where the whole yes and concept, it gets momentum going. It gets people working together, and that kind of mentality, I think, really works great in UX. Because again, we work with so many people, we have so many things we're trying to design, and so why not work to grow things and then take the time to vet them later? Not everything has to be used, we have the time to do that. So that is the basic, super short intro to improv. If you have a theater anywhere near you, please go. A lot of them have drop-ins, take some classes. Peter, thank you so much for jumping in, Zoltan and Barna.
Thank you very much.
Again, thank you. Here's my Twitter, LinkedIn, Improv UX, and my personal website. And I also have some bonus links for everyone. I had a post up a while ago on LinkedIn for You Don't Want an Innovative Culture. And I mentioned Mick Napier earlier. And he has a video on YouTube called A Place of Yes. It's kind of a TED Talk thing that talks about yes and how it's a very powerful thing. And he has some actors on stage showing 2 different scenes where they do it and where they don't. Fun Kills Fear by Greg Tavares, which is another one, and how having that fun in improv gets you over a lot of your fears of trying things new and being uncomfortable. And as a selfless shame plug, if you'd like to actually hear me improvise, I am one part of the duo in the Hitchhikers and Appetizers improvised podcast set in the world of Douglas Adams's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And this deck has all the exercises that we just did and explanations for them. So I'm assuming this will go out afterwards, and you guys can all try them on your own. So thank you very much. Back to you, Katie.
Thank you, Mike. We actually have a couple minutes. Just ask you a couple questions because, again, this was such an interesting perspective and take on something that seems like it's unrelated to UX and has a really great tie into it. So first off, I want to say that I bet these kinds of activities, like kind of running these with some folks, are like dual purpose there. Like they make for some really great icebreakers as well, getting people warmed up and a little giggling a little bit at the start of maybe a workshop or something, and more comfortable with sharing with each other.
Yeah, I was absolutely going to say, like, whenever I've done the workshop, because normally this is like a workshop, and the last time I ran it was at UX Lisbon. Almost immediately people are laughing and goofing and starting to have fun, and you can like, you feel the tension just go out of the room once everybody starts doing the more physical things and laughing and getting loose, and the nice thing about it is that everybody's doing it, and a lot of the exercises that I start off with are group exercises, so no one is put out in front of everyone at the beginning. I have people do group, like a lot of groups to one-on-ones, back to groups, back to one-on-ones, and at the end of the workshop I do have an exercise that puts 2 people up in front of everybody, but strictly voluntary. So if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. But again, that speaks a little bit to that, Fun Kills Fear video I mentioned from Greg Tavares, great guy, improviser in Charleston, South Carolina, that, it really eases tension and gets people to loosen up and be more willing to try and explore things and get used to it. And I just think those skills transfer over to, honestly, they transfer over to everybody's life. Improv can make you a better person.
Absolutely. And I could see that being especially valuable for some of these workshops where you have leadership present, almost kind of making the leadership kind of be a little bit vulnerable as well and kind of shaking that up. So I'll be calling you. I'm going to hire you to come and make some of my colleagues laugh. Okay, another question that I personally have. I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to steal a spotlight briefly. I'm sure you probably have so many great anecdotes from running these kinds of workshops, and I guess just seeing the kinds of things that fall out of them. So, do you have a favorite you could share with us?
Well, one of the favorites was empty your pockets exercise. When I first did that, one of the Midwest UX, when it was in Cincinnati, and I did my wedding ring because I always do that one, and the girl that I did it with, because we had an odd number, so I paired up with her. She was like, "Well, God, I really didn't think I had anything, but then you showed me ring, so then that reminded me of my ring." And she's like, "So this is my ring," and it's not expensive, it's not cheap. I just liked it when I bought it, and then I broke it. Like I literally dropped it one day and it got stepped on and it broke. And I thought for a second, oh, that. Now it's like my ring's ruined, I should get rid of it. But then I thought about it, and that's actually kind of like me. I've had stuff in my life that's maybe broken me a little bit or given me some scars, and so I kept the ring and I wear it, and it's gotten more nicks and scratches on it over time. And I look at it and use it to remind myself that I have all these little things that make me unique. And have brought me to where I am today. And so I always like to, that's a fun one I like to tell, because like this is like literally 5 years later that happened, and I still remember her story. I mean, it was an awesome story and something to connect to. So yeah, that's one of my fun little anecdotes I'd like to share about how
Absolutely.
that connection and telling those little stories can help you, get to know someone better and
Totally.
empathize with them and everything. I see
I love
one.
that
I
so
see one.
much. Yes, we
I
do.
see
Yeah.
one. Yeah, I see one question about the.
You want
Have
me
you
to
seen the
tee
one
it up
about
for you?
not every idea? Is it the not every idea is a good one?
Yep.
Yeah, not every idea is a great one. And I've had a couple times where a dev, oh, we should do it this way because it'd be easier to do the drop down list and and I didn't think it was a great idea again, but like my modal, I didn't think the other ideas were maybe as good because you had this little narrow area, but I ended up mocking it up. We took it before people and got feedback, and he was on the call and they roundly rejected his design in favor of the other one. And at the end of the call, he's like, "Oh, I guess we're not going to use that." So presenting as much data as you can to show what the users what's helping them is my best way to fight that. And actually have usability testing sessions if you can that show people are completing things, whereas with the other design they're having a harder time. That's the best way I know to fight that battle, because if it's a battle of titles, I'm going to lose that because I'm just a senior UX designer, and someone who's a director at EY completely and utterly outweighs the weight of my vote. So for the product I worked on, I always do a presentation. I put lots of anecdotes from the people from when I'm doing user interviews. If it's usability tests, I try to show the completion rates of this versus this versus this, and how we did all of them in different orders. With each person that was testing it, so that there wasn't any bias about this was the first one they tested versus the last one, and let it all shake out to do that. That's my answer for that question.
Love it. Well, excellent. Well, we are right at time. So we're going to kind of move on. We've got another little break coming up here. Before we do that, I have a couple things I want to mention. First off, thank you so much, Mike. This was fantastic. Super, really fun, kind of shaking up the moment, kind of having this interactive exercise. So hopefully you all in the audience really enjoyed that. We want to be able to thank you so much for coming. We have a gift for you. So
excellent. Awesome.
Pop an image of that gift up here at some point. Might take a little while because we're in a
do I need
platform.
to
Yeah, you might need to stop sharing. We gotta make sure
there it is.
everybody.
Aha,
there you are.
Nice.
There's a mic for you.
I think I look a little bit thinner, so that's definitely better.
Well, and you're gonna have to shave now because you're not.
Yeah, I know.
A beard on. But no, thank you so much for joining us. This was really, really great. Hopefully, you're able to stick around for the rest of the day today. And very, very.
Yeah, I definitely think I'll be hanging out.
We appreciate it.
Awesome. I hope everybody enjoyed it. It definitely falls into the soft skills thing, so sometimes it can be hard to fight for those. But again, I think they're super important, and I just try to be the best example of how they help. Thanks, everyone.